hands were like ice, like tentacles on my forehead. They raced over my forehead, over my earlobes, and down to my throat, before making their way back to my forehead. Silence. The seconds ticked by. And then this. Your health is good. Heart, lungs, liver, all very good. But the problem's in your mind. You have bad anxiety in your mind. It's blocking energy, and it's very bad. These were the words spoken softly into my ear by Jacorda Rai, the famous Balinese healer. Now I'll come back to Bali. I promise you'll want to know what happens next. But where does anxiety come from? I know for me, anxiety has three voices: expectation, comparison, and fear. And they're like these rambling critics in my brain, and they just won't leave. But what I've come to find, that the beauty of it is, that since these are all creatures of my own habit, or of my own making, is that I have the power to direct them, change what they say, and render them speechless. Now, I was born and bred in Sacramento. That's 2 hours from here. And I'm the oldest of three. I'm the mother of Filipino immigrants. And I think my parents' dreams for me were very clear. It wasn't so much that they needed for me to excel, it was that they needed for me to have a safe life, to avoid the struggles they had, for just the basic things, like a paycheck, a home to call my own, and education. And it's from that place that it's no surprise that their expectations of me were very clear, that I get a very traditional job, that I get to the point where I can achieve my dream very quickly. You know, something like an accountant, or a nurse, an engineer. And I promise you, you do not want me coding Jack. So you can imagine what my mom thought when I told her, I want to study fashion design in college. And I can remember that moment. I was sitting on the sofa, and the TV was blaring this terrible Filipino soap opera that she would never admit to this day that she was watching, but we all know better. And her eyes were wide with disbelief, and I could see the pragmatic wheels in her brain just about to explode. What are you going to learn about life with painting? I said fashion design, not painting, but I guess that was just as useless to her in her mind. And she looked at me and she said, you know, we paid for 4 years of private school. If you want to do this useless thing, she didn't say useless, but she should have said that, because that's what I was thinking in my head, then you're just going to have to pay for it by yourself. And I took her up on that challenge. So I commuted from Sacramento to San Francisco 3 days a week to the Fashion Institute here in downtown. And I lived at home just to make it work financially for me. And in the months that followed, I discovered one main thing. This is not the career for me. And it was like death by a million paper cuts every time I was driving up, getting ready, sitting in class. But there was one thing that I did discover, or actually rediscover, and that's my love of stories. You know, I was sitting in a lecture, and it was all about the intersection between art and fashion and history. And I thought to myself, you know, maybe it's not so much about the design. Maybe it's about the message behind the design, the big idea, and how I could communicate that big idea through the art of language. And I thought I could do something with that, maybe marketing. And you know, the voice in my head, the voice of expectation, it yelled at me, it railed at me. It was like, you can't give up now. You already disappointed your parents once, and now you're going to disappoint yourself. You're going to be a failure. People are going to laugh at you. You can't give up. You're going to look silly. You know, and I'm so glad that I ignored that voice, because in that moment, I found my career. A career that's taken me so many places, from crafting pitches at a PR agency to creating product collections for Restoration Hardware and Cost Plus World Market, to representing the brand for Pottery Barn. And at my latest stint as director of marketing for a startup, me. Who knew? And it was just so exciting because, I'm grateful for the chances I've been given. And we all need to remember that. And I guess when I let go of my expectations, that's really when my life found me. And that's a huge lesson for me. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I struggle with comparison all the time on a daily basis. It's hard not to. I mean, social media is out there, and it's like everyone. It's my best friends, it's celebrities, it's strangers who just look so put together, like they just came off a catwalk. And I'm waking up like a slob and walking in and can barely get my mind wrapped around what I'm doing. Anne knows. And I have this one friend in particular, and her name is Elisa. And I've known her over half my life. And when I look at her and I think about her, she's everything that I wish that I was. She's calm, collected, pulled together, great in a crisis. And like nothing's fazing her. And I think I've seen her cry maybe twice in my life. And in her life too, it's like everything just came together. She has a plan in place and all the elements of her life just fell into place. It doesn't matter if it's her career or her personal life, where she just met her husband in college and he wooed her, and it was this romantic, beautiful story. And she now has these amazing kids and an amazing home, and like I said, she's amazing. I mean, the headline for me is just, I have no idea how she does it. But I guess I've just been surprised by life because, a couple years ago, she came to visit me on my birthday to spend an amazing girl weekend, which for her is just a weekend without her kids, let's be honest. And, I wanted to make her feel really special. So I had the coffee table set with flowers and pastries from the corner shop. And I thought to myself, what would be great with this is this rose lychee tea I brought back from Paris. And, I made it, I came back. And as I handed it to her, she burst into tears. And so that was the first surprise, because now I've seen Elisa cry 3 times in my whole life. 3 times, 3. And she said to me, I really needed this. And seeing you just makes me realize how much I miss my own life, and I miss the freedom that I had to just spend time with you and to do all the things that I can't do because I'm just racing throughout my day, just trying to make it to my next day. And throughout that weekend, she mentioned other things that I just really took for granted. Like the fact that I get more than 3 hours of sleep a day. And that I can go to yoga and run and play tennis, even though I should do more of that because, let's be honest, I'm lazy when I come home and I just want to have a glass of wine. That's really what I want to do. To, jetting off to exotic locations and traveling when my boss lets me. And I guess that's when I realized that comparison really cuts both ways. And it really is how you want to view comparison. Because I'm never going to be someone who reacts to my life in a cool, calm, collected manner. I'm very expressive. I have a lot of fire. And everything's written all over my face. I can't hide it, even if I wanted to. And my life really hasn't gone according to plan. But that's okay because it's an adventure. And who doesn't like adventures, right? And I don't have a husband and I don't have kids, but it doesn't mean that I can't enjoy family. The one that I have, my personal family, the one that I've built with coworkers, new friends, old friends, and the family that I have through my close friends. It's just all about connection. So I guess that was just the point for me. It's when you let go of comparison, when you let go of its focus and change that focus, that's when you can see what your life is. And you can see what you bring to the table and what you bring to the world. And that's important. Because there's no one else like you. And I feel like I want everyone to know that and everyone to feel that way. Because I myself just understand what it's like to feel like, gosh, why couldn't I be like that? And I feel like I've let that go in many ways, and it's liberating. Now, I don't know about you, but I have so much fear. Fear for me has some range. It's like from the flat note of failure all the way to the rich baritone of entering the unknown and not knowing what's going to happen next. And when I think about fear, like the last time I experienced it to such a huge degree was in my last relationship. And you know, from the outside, things were really amazing. We had just moved in together. He was charming, he was smart, he could really take care of me. And you know, my future was set, my life was set. It's just gonna go on this path. But behind the curtain, I had some serious misgivings that this was the person for me, that he could be the emotional partner for me, _partner. And the crux of it all is I felt like every big discussion we had, every big argument we had, ended with this my way or the highway edict. And there was something in me that just really rebelled against that. You know, and the longer I stayed and tried to be the bigger person and compromise, it's like I just felt like I was slowly dying inside and just slowly disconnecting from who I was, and I felt the energy just drain from my life. And fear just spoke to me constantly on a daily basis. You know, you can't leave this life that you built for yourself. You know, you can't let go of this dream, and it's too hard. Who are you without this person? What is your life without this person? And I think the time just came when, you know, the need to escape my cage, the need to just break free, it outweighed that fear. The fear of just not knowing. I couldn't deal with it anymore. And I remember leaving. I remember the day that I moved away. I'm not going to say that it wasn't sad or that I wasn't scared. And there were many tears. And the movers were so gracious to not notice. They just went about their day and put their dresser there. And my face was red and I was crying. And I was like, yes, the bed goes there. And this is how you put the TV stand together. And I want it in front of my bed because I'm going to be here and I'm going to cry for the next 10 weeks. But really, it was in, you know, the weeks and the months that followed that I found a life for myself, a life that I didn't know existed, that I didn't know I deserved, and that I could enjoy. You know, there was a lightness to it. There was sound, there was color, butterflies. There was even a little sassiness, a little, you know, it's like, it's my way or the highway, okay? It's my way. And, you know, and it was in that moment that I found, when I took the moment to listen to my heart, as cheesy as that sounds, that was stronger than fear. And the fear that I thought I had that would swallow me whole, it didn't even really exist. It was something that I made up. So back to Bali. I'm lying on this bamboo mat in this outdoor temple, and the sun is shining, and the wind is blowing through my hair. And Jakarta Rai, the famous Balinese healer, says to me, I'm going to give you a blessing now to quiet your mind. I'm not great, honestly, about remembering all the details. Could be a problem with me being an engineer. I'm just saying, if I ever do that. And he takes out this wooden stick, and he traces on my forehead, down to my throat, to my heart, traces all these pathways across my body, and then stops, does a little jiggle, some weird thing. And he says, okay, that's it. Your anxiety is gone now. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I thought, okay, is that all it takes? I think I'm good. And I finished off that trip with a huge high. And I wish I could tell you that I came back to San Francisco and that I no longer had anxiety and I was no longer scared and that things were perfect. But I can't tell you that because I'm only human and life is life. And I still succumb to my expectations of myself and the expectations of others. And I still needlessly compare myself to everyone. And I'm still really scared. I mean, the fear I have right now, standing in front of all of you, and the fear that I had in preparing this speech, it could swallow me whole. It'd be gone. But I guess what I've come to realize is that if I can just acknowledge the voice of anxiety and the feelings that come along with it, the deafening, crazy emotions that override my brain, I give it less credit. It's sort of like commentary on the radio or on TV. It's just one of many voices that I can choose to listen to or push off to the side. And in those moments where I feel crazy anxious and the day has just really overwhelmed me, I just take a deep breath. And I have this little saying for myself. It's surrender to your heart to quiet your mind. It's just that simple. Surrender to your heart to quiet your mind. Take a deep breath and just surrender, because your life is what it is, and it's perfect. Thank you.
So just stand here and take it in.